What's up, Planeswalker? This is kind of something I was playing around with kind of at the end of Jumpstart, right before Amonkhet came out. But then Amonkhet came out, and obviously we got a bunch of new zombies, and so I just kind of scrapped this and waited for Amonkhet to come out and kind of build some of those zombie cards in the collection to kind of rebuild this list. So Liliana's Elite is a 3-mana 1/1 zombie. That doesn't sound very impressive. However, it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. So this can get really big. Really fast, especially if you combine it with some of the other zombie synergies. Obviously, if you go Golgari, you have a little bit more ways to fill your graveyard while playing creatures on the board, but some of those creatures like Glowspore Shamans and things like that aren't zombies. So I want to keep it kind of zombie tribal here. So that's why we're doing it, just keeping it mono black. We're also just running this here in best of one because it's a little bit of a kind of a janky list, because obviously we're building around one single card, and if that card dies, then we have other ways to win, but we want to win with Liliana's Elite is basically the point. Another new card we got from Amonkhet is Liliana Death's Majesty. So I got back into Magic right before Amonkhet came out, and when I saw Liliana, I was just immediately drew into her. It just seemed like a really, really cool card. And played a ton of zombies back in Amonkhet block standard. And I do think she's a little bit of a trap if you're trying to build like a zombie tribal with Liliana. However, we are trying to mill ourselves, so with her +1 making the zombies and milling 2 cards, it fits in nicely with our Liliana's Elite. So I definitely think she's worth looking at in that regard. But typically, I think where Liliana shines is more of a kind of a reanimation type of a strategy with her -3, because it's something you can do right away. So she's at 5 loyalty, and you get any creature back from your graveyard back to the battlefield. It's a black zombie for what it's worth, and then you can also -7 to destroy all non-zombie creatures. So obviously, all 3 sides of these fit with what we're trying to do. If we mill Liliana's Elite, we can just -3 and get Liliana's Elite back onto the battlefield. So that's pretty fantastic. And if we have Liliana's Elite or multiple of them on the battlefield, we can just +1, make another zombie, and mill more cards and make our Elite even bigger. But she has 5 mana, and she's not really the most amazing what we're trying to do. And of course, she is a what's it called? Mythic rare, so you might not have multiples of these in your collection, but I do think it's worth having one of these because she's super sweet. And so we're just going to run 1 copy here. Also running 1 Liliana, Waker of the Dead. Since we're having a full graveyard, her -3 is pretty fantastic. And +1 to make each player discard a card. It's pretty great as well, especially against like kind of a more of a controlling matchup, lots of removal and things like that. They want to hold up the removal, we're just going to make them discard it. And if we do have to discard a card, maybe it's like a creature card, well, we just fill up our graveyard for Liliana's Elite, so that's pretty sweet. And of course, the -7 can be pretty cool as well if we get to that point. I also have 3 copies here of Liliana Untouched by Deaths. Obviously, fantastic synergy, milling 3 cards, doing 2 damage to our opponent, gaining 2 life. Well, each opponent loses 2 life, so that is an important distinction there. And then -2 to basically act as removal based on how many zombies we have in play. And -3 being able to get zombies back from our graveyard back onto the battlefield. It's pretty fantastic in the late game. Alright, so what else we got here is 2 copies here of Murderous Rider. Nice removal. 4 copies of Lord of the Accursed. It's a Lord effect, but it also gives our zombies a menace. So giving our Liliana's Elite menace, and it's really, really big. That can be pretty sweet. Mire Triton fills up our graveyard, mills 2, gains us 2 on Death Touch as a zombie. Liliana's Triumph, Heartless Act, and Eliminate. That's our removal package in addition to the Murderous Rider. Obviously, they each do different things, they're each good situationally. So we want to have different answers for different things. Obviously there's lots of those Aura's Boggle style deck where they can give like hexproof or protection. That Karametra's Blessing or Paradise Druid with like Sentinel's Eyes, stuff like that can be hard to deal with. Well, having some sacrifice effects is pretty sweet. And of course, Liliana's Triumph says that if we have a Liliana Planeswalker, our opponent has to discard a card as well. So this can be pretty sweet. We have obviously 5 total Lilianas, 3 different varieties. So we should have a Liliana on the battlefield a lot of times, so this can be some nice upside. And then, of course, Heartless Act and Eliminate are different in a variety of situations. For Graveyard Marshal, just a nice 3-powered 2 mana zombie here. And has this nice activated ability to also synergize with our graveyard. It's a little bit of a combo with a Liliana's Elite, but if our opponent's killing our Liliana's Elite, or if it's otherwise we feel like it's worth, exile creature cards from our graveyard just to make 2/2 zombies and kind of go wider, then obviously we have that ability. But you know, with the 2 toughness and with its activated ability, it tends to be a magnet for removal. And otherwise, you know, if not, it's just a 3-powered creature for 2 mana, so it can be a nice threat in and of itself. And then at 1-drop slot, we have Cryptbreaker and Stitcher's Supplier. Stitcher's Supplier, of course, mills 3 cards by entering the battlefield and when it dies, so we love both sides of this, and it's a zombie, so perfect there. And of course, Cryptbreaker, we can be aggressive with certain lines of play, obviously with the Graveyard Marshal, and Stitcher's Supplier and the Graveyard Marshal into Liliana's Elite, and it's like a 4/4 or something like that maybe. And so we can be pretty aggressive and follow up like Lord of the Accursed or Liliana or something like that. But there's going to be situations where we're kind of waiting to kind of build up our graveyard more and kind of get set up, and we want the Cryptbreaker to kind of draw us cards. So I think Cryptbreaker is a mistake if you're just trying to build a purely aggro zombie list, because it's a 1-mana 1/1 that you don't really want to lose it. You want these abilities, so you can't really tag into it. So you're better off just rolling like Dread Wanderer or Diagraph Ghoul, something like that. That's a 1-mana 2-powered creature. This is good if you're running any kind of a little bit slower zombie list where you can kind of go wide a little bit, but also we were trying to kind of build up. And that's like what we're trying to do with Liliana's Elite, is we want to kind of fill up our graveyard first and then have some good attacks. It doesn't, and the Liliana's Elite, of course, doesn't have trample or anything like that, which could be another reason to go green, but I don't think it's quite worth it. So we're just going to be attacking with a big dumb zombie, and our opponent can just jump block it. But we're just going to draw some cards in the process and hopefully get some removal spells and just kind of go really, really wide. And if we draw a million lands, we can always just activate its ability to discard and make 2/2 zombie tokens as well. So mana base, just 23 lands. We do have these like 4 and 5 mana planeswalkers we want to get to eventually, but they're not super clutch. We just want to curve out into at least like the Elite and the Lord of the Accursed. So getting up to 3 mana is pretty important, but beyond that, it's just kind of a bonus when we get to Liliana's here. So 3 Castle Locthwains and 20 Swamps. So we have some nice card draw with the Castle Locthwains and the Cryptbreakers as well. So that's the list. We'll jump into some matches. See. Alright, against Enosia 37. A little slow, but we have the Triton into Elite into Lord. Could be pretty strong. Just like to see some removal maybe. That's about the only thing missing. Or Liliana. Alright, there's a Liliana. She heard me. There we go. So we need to get the 4 lands to actually cast her. We mill a zombie, so not the zombie we wanted to mill, but that's fine. Alright, against Bant. That's pretty, could be pretty nasty. The unranked queue just playing a bunch of, oh, is this a Toughness Matters? We'll attack. There's no downside right now. Obviously, they could have a thing that makes us a 5-powered creature. Nope, Birth of Meltus. So we got another wall. Reese. I have no idea what our opponent's up to. Do we want to get rid of Reese? Probably should. Is it worth it? Maybe. Reese can do some nasty things. Let's get rid of Reese. And we'll attack 2 Death Touch. They block. Really? We have Death Touch. Okay, now they get a 0/4 wall. They're going to gain some life here as well. Sky Tether. I'm not too worried about that. Alright, let's mill. Don't have enough to minus and don't want to lose our Liliana just yet. Lord of the Accursed. And we attack for 4. Oh, very aggressive with these blocks. I'm not sure what that means. You're going to Realm Cloak Giants. Okay. I mean, as long as we have a Liliana on board, we can kind of rebuild. So yeah, we'll plus. We got the Graveyard Marshal and the Lord here, so I don't think we need to minus just yet. And depending on what we draw next time, we'll probably just play our Liliana and start forcing them to playing Dream Trawler and unranked. Come on, dude. That's such of a nasty card. That is a very nasty card. We'll plus.
Don't get squeamish on me.
I think we want to get our elite online. We'll activate swing 4, I guess. I mean, they're gonna attack and gain some life back. Love to see Liliana's Triumph here. Have we milled any? We have. We have milled 1. So we still have a Liliana's Elite. Okay, so they're just playing a really obnoxious deck. So all those... all those defenders just to play Dream Trawler. Dream Trawler is that good? They discard it? We'll plus, try to keep Liliana nice and healthy. I mean, Dream Trawler can take over games by itself. Oh, Tulane. They can get a ton of value here. Love to deal with Tulane. And go after Liliana.
Rude.
We can minus... yeah, I think we have to. And get that off the board. We have a million cards in our graveyard. Let's minus. Let's cast some stuff. Alright, what do we want? I want the elite. Let's do the Cryptbreaker. And Graveyard Marshal. We've milled half our library anyway, so... don't think we can be too greedy. Liliana's at 3, so I don't think we can do it again. We do have a 7/7. Alright, nice thing about this is we can do this anytime. Doesn't care about summoning sickness. We don't have to tap it. It's just a nice little activated ability. It is a land, which we don't love to see. We don't want to discard these, so we'll go ahead and play them. I'm going to fill up our yard for this Liliana's Elite. I'm going to play you. Play you. We'll activate you. Actually, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we only have 5, so we can't kill all that. And yeah, our opponent so far behind that it's not really worth. Obviously, we had another board wipe. They could have done some nasty stuff. We're down to 24 cards in our library, so definitely, if they had just a ton of removal, they could have tried to let us know ourselves. But yeah, as long as there are Liliana's on the board, and especially with them being at 3 life, then we had a pretty good chance there. Let's see, as it was, we don't have good attacks with these, so we were just going to attack with the Elites, and then draw some cards with the Cryptbreaker, and hopefully find some removal to deal with some of these. But yeah, not sure why they went with a Tulane there. It's pretty greedy keep instead of the Dream Trawler. Definitely would have kept Dream Trawler all day there. Dream Trawler with a lifelink and everything, drawing you cards, can just take over games. So. Alright, against Hypospadius. Well, hand seems okay. Let's see what our opponent's on. Probably lead with Marshal here. Just get a 3-powered creature on board, just kind of make him sweat a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, well, Graveyard Marshal. So could have a decent attack unless it's like a Steel Leaf Champion or something nasty like that. Nope. Thornwood Falls. Well, I'll attack. Reading the card. You're not blocking, so mill some cards, gain some life. There goes an Elite and a Cryptbreaker. Don't love that, but we're filling up our yard. Gyre Engineer. That's the classic right there. Let's get that off the board. I can ramp them maybe more than we're comfortable with. I'm fine with attacking with these two. Leave Stitchers back on defense. Don't want to lose our precious Liliana. They have a Castle Locthwain to kind of draw some cards as well. Yeah, it's amazing how much just having 3 Lilianas, the Stitcher Supplier, and the Mire Triton, you can just really mill the heck out of yourself. So definitely something to watch out for. We have exactly 3, so perfect. Yeah, we'll attack all. See if they block. They do. Mill some more. Alright, Mire Triton. They have the evolution stage, but nothing really to proliferate on at this point. So it's tempting to get rid of that. I don't think it's worth losing Liliana over, especially without anything else for them to do. Now we're looking forward to probably Lord of the Accursed. Do we have any? We do have a Lord. It is a tap ability, so we can't use it right away. But yeah, got pay 2 and tap it. But yeah, we put them under a ton of pressure. I think they just kind of missed some land drops, and we got rid of their Gyre Engineer, which would have helped them ramp into maybe a Nissa or whatever shenanigans they were trying to do. But yeah, we can be pretty aggressive with this list, so feels good. All right, against Caldeli. I mean, everything in your hand is playable, so we'll keep. Oh man, am I really running these swamps? I just now noticed that. Definitely should be running the zombie swamps. So apologies for that. They're just like the default ones they give you when you first build a deck. Alright, next turn, do we just Mire Triton? Yeah, I think I'd rather play a 2-drop. I should do just Graveyard Marshal, is probably better. Our opponent on black-white, at least. Wow, tap land into tap land. Not the best art from them. Get in there for 1. Get our 3/2 down. And here we go. Untapped land up top would be ideal. So I untapped, everything is going to be untapped. We're just running swamps and castles. Nothing from our opponent. Do we want to hold back Cryptbreaker for a card draw? Let's attack. We can draw cards later. We have a ton of cards in hand. I don't think it's too important. I'm gonna kill one of my creatures. Guess they could have a board wipe, but I mean, we still have Triton plus Lord in hand. So maybe holding Cryptbreaker would be the better play if we're worried about board wipe, but let's go for it. Let's make them have it. I mean, we do want to fill our graveyard for the Liliana's Elite eventually, and if they're just playing, you know, board wipe tribal, then so be it. Archon and another 2-drop. Perfect. All right, well, sack your thing, dude. And I think we do want to start drawing some cards, so we'll swing. Play Mire Triton. Now we have 3 zombies that we can tap down to draw a card. Opponent down to 10. We got our Lord of the Accursed lined up for next turn. Obviously, we don't want to see a board wipe here. Ixalan's Binding. Naming or targeting Graveyard Marshal? Sure. That's not our best zombie, but I can see why you would target it. That's another reason to run it, is because it kind of gives your opponent something to worry about. Alright, what do we got here? 3, 6, 10. Perfect. So yeah, if your opponent stumbles at all, you can be pretty aggressive. Don't even need Liliana's Elite. Alright, up against Gutor. Alright, we got 2-drop into Elite, into Lord, and Liliana. I think we've seen all Lilianas now. Haven't we seen Stitcher's Supplier? Alright. See how it is. Okay, we'll mode a creature. Let's get this Elite online. We can fuel up our graveyard later with Stitchers or Liliana. green. Opponent's not doing anything, so we'll swing 2. Play the elite. Doesn't look like much right now, but it's going to grow pretty quick. Probably just want Lord plus Stitchers next turn. Zerta. So just a budget mana base. Gruelist. Liliana's elite up to a 4/4. Now we're cooking with fire. Let's take the block. Making our Liliana's elite even bigger. Alright, we got 3 zombies in play and a Liliana ready to come down and kill something. No. Well, we know they have hasties, so let's leave the Stitchers back. It's possible they have a kill spell and a haste threat, but so be it. We need to get aggressive with this elite. Strike, sure. That's 7 now for the elite. Wasn't already a 6? Or did it just change immediately? That's Crystalline Giant, sure. And 7. Okay. So our opponent has some shenanigans over there. Alright, so we can kill the giant, I guess. Oh, let's attack first. They can't kill it. We're gonna block. You lose your 7 dwarfs? Well, let's kill the giant.
Oh, they're overwhelming, aren't they?
And pass. When it says good game. Okay, so either draw a card or make a 2/2. I was thinking about drawing, but I think in this board state, just going wide and making another zombie would have been better. So we exile whatever. This becomes 7, but then we can just mill and just grow it again anyways. And it might even draw like a Triton or who knows. Another Stitcher Supplier, anything like that. We could also fill up our graveyard as well. So even though we lose 1, we still get a 2/2 zombie on board on when our opponent has nothing in play. I'm gonna cut off removal, but all the more reason to go wide unless it's like obviously a Storm's Wrath. But from what we saw, it didn't look like they were running sweepers if they're running all these creatures here. So yeah, pretty fun little list. Liliana's elite. I think I'm gonna cut it short right there. It's pretty fantastic gameplay. Great. Always fun playing with zombies. Liliana's elite is not a card I've seen anywhere else. Something I was, like I said, was brewing before Amonkhet Remastered came out, and then I just kind of scrapped that and was like, well, we'll just let Amonkhet release, and then we'll kind of rebuild it because there can be some fun new toys to play around with. I don't think you need Death Barons because you're already running Lord of the Accursed, and the 3-drop slot is just so convoluted with zombies or zombie effects. But yeah, having the Murderous Rider I think is pretty key. You could also run like Rotting Regisaur instead as a nice 3-mana 7/6 that can, potentially make you discard to also potentially fill up your graveyard. But then when you're running all these Lilianas, you don't necessarily want to be discarding them because you want lands to actually curve out into them. And then of course you don't want to discard the Liliana either. So the Regisaur is a little awkward in that regard. So I don't love it. If you want to be more aggressive, you could also look at maybe like a Demonic Embrace since you're filling up your graveyard and then just kind of fly over the top of your opponent. That could certainly be an option. Kind of went with more removal, but we do have the Triumph, Act, and Eliminate here, so we do have all these other pieces of removal as well. So just trying to control the board so you can actually swing in with your elites. But maybe going for the flying might be better. I could definitely see that being a thing. Maybe just put the riders like in the sideboard if you want to try this out in best of 3. I mean, zombies is pretty reasonable to run on the ranked queue. I think the higher up you go, obviously you need to have a more refined list. But yeah, these Lilianas synergize pretty nicely what they're trying to do, and I think we got some pretty nice value out of all 3 of them. She showed up, right? I think. But yeah, Liliana Waker did some nice work there, and of course Untouched really shined, I thought. And then yeah, we don't have a ton of mill. We have the Tritons and the Stitcher Supplier, and the Liliana. But even just those 3 cards, we like in it was like one of those earlier matches. We went through like over half of our library very quickly. So if you get the engine online, it's pretty sweet. And then of course Liliana being able to get zombies back as well kind of compensates for some of that. Even though it kind of looks like a little bit of a non-bo with the elite, but you know if this is a 10-10 versus 11-11, not usually a huge difference. So once you get lots of creatures in your yard, then that's fine. And I love giving it Menace with the elite. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, and then the Graveyard Marshal is another way to kind of take advantage of your graveyard, especially if you don't draw into your elite, or if you mill all of them, or if your opponent kills all of them. Then Graveyard Marshal is kind of another way to kind of get value out of your graveyard by going wide and making additional zombies. And anybody who's played against this card is probably going to be targeting it for removal, because this is a pretty fantastic card. I know all the times I played it back when it was in standard, this would pretty much die almost immediately, it would seem like. But if they don't answer it, then it's a pretty powerful card. It's pretty sweet all around. And yeah, definitely think this is a deck where Cryptbreaker can really shine, because we're kind of aggressive, but it's more about like the Liliana's elite. We have the Mire Triton we can swing in with a Death Touch. We have the Graveyard Marshal that's 3 power that we can swing in with. But you know, it has 2 toughness, so we don't always want to attack in with it. So sometimes we just kind of stay back on the blocks here, protect our Lilianas, and then we can just Cryptbreaker to kind of draw cards and find that removal, to find more Lord effects and Liliana Planeswalkers and things like that. And yeah, 23 lands felt pretty reasonable. Didn't really have too many issues with that. Castle Locthwain, obviously we're going to try this in best of 3. You probably want to maybe have like a Field of Ruin or Bojuka Ball, some of those more utility lands. But in best of 1 play, I think it's just fine. Just play it pretty much like we're doing, just pretty straight up, and just kind of minimize any issues with lands. Because you have the Graveyard Marshal, which is double black, and things like that. So you want to be able to cast this on curve as consistently as possible. And if you run like a Field of Runes and things like that, you're not always going to be able to do that. But yeah, and obviously the removal package you can kind of adjust to what you're seeing. But this feels pretty reasonable, having these variety of options. And of course, Liliana is removable as well, both of them actually. So yeah, pretty fun list. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, make sure you jank with